Disclaimer, I do not own the TheOwlHouse or any of the clips in this video. They all belong to Disney, the creative crew of TheOwlHouse, all rights reserved. Spoiler warning, there's spoilers for TheOwlHouse up until For the Future, the most recent episode. If you aren't caught up and you do care about spoilers, don't watch this video. Anyways, let's get started. The TheOwlHouse, like all great things, is coming to an eventual end. This January, its penultimate episode For the Future dropped, leaving us with a final episode watching and dreaming. Like the previous episodes, it ended on a cliffhanger with Luz and the group having all completed their character arcs and having reached a tide's edge to get to the Collector's palace, hoping to fight Eden King. However, Belos had possessed Rain, who the Collector turned into a puppet alongside the other 8 Coven heads and a good majority of the Boiling Isles populace. It is using King's friendship with the Collector to turn the all-powerful child against Luz. The final episode will release in April, and it will wrap up the story in a satisfying manner to end on a happy, or at the very least, bittersweet note. However, there are several big questions about the finale aims to answer. I hope to predict them beforehand. I'm going to do this as a top 10 list. Before we start, please remember to like, subscribe, and share for more content. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, let's start with number 10. Number 10. What is the Collector's new game? At the end of For the Future, the Collector sees Luz and snaps his fingers, saying he wants to play a new game. Now we need to know what the new game he wants to play is. The only thing we know for sure about the finale is the name, so what if he sends Luz into a dream reality where her father never died? As idyllic as it might seem on the outside, Luz would come to the realization that the Boiling Isles would be a worse place if she never stepped foot there. Helped by her talk with her mother in For the Future that set in motion the hatchery of String Bean, Luz's pals made the healing that happened from Luz realizing all she wanted was to be understood, and she has people all around her that understand her. Because if Luz never went to the Boiling Isles, the day of Duty would have happened without a hitch, and Belos would kill every last witch with Luz none the wiser. This ties into an idea I was entertaining as far back as when I joined the fandom during the summer of 2022. That Belos would tempt Luz with an offer to travel back in time to save her father from dying, but she'd reject it as a sign of her growth. I also headcanon that Luz blames herself for her father's death, despite the fact that nobody could do anything about it and it was nobody's fault. As the rules of time travel in the TheOwlHouse universe, with a past having already been changed forbid that, it could be a possibility with dream realities. On a side note, there's what Belos' plan could be. He's been severely weakened and forced to rely on himself, and he doesn't have much time left. I'm thinking that instead of a master plan that will take centuries, it will be something fast and drastic. He set his eyes on possessing the Collector, so what if his plan to wait until the Collector's guard is down and take him over? After all, his manipulation of the Collector can only go so far, as while the other Collectors were happy with destroying worlds that fought back, this Collector doesn't want to. Or he could be aware of Titan magic cancelling out Collector magic, which would make him set his sights on possessing King of the Boiling Isles Titan. With the latter, all he'd have to do is stand up and he would have rendered a large portion of the Isles uninhabitable. However, if the Titan has decayed too much for there to be enough viable muscle fibers for Belos to move the Titan's corpse about, and if him taking it over would just speed up a decomposition process too fast for him to get results. Or as all the Coven heads were gathered at the Titan's head, he could use Raid's barb magic to control him as he tricks the Collector to cause another eclipse to drain the puppets if they can be drained. Even if not, that would have a pronounced psychological effect on the Hexoid, except for Camila. Though last time they fought Belos at the Titan's head under a bleeding sky, it didn't go so well. I'm sure that the kids will freak out to be incapacitated, forcing Camila to fight Belos one-on-one as Eden and Lilith become beasts running amok. Perhaps seeing Camila get hurt, or worse, will snap them out of it. After all, this is the last chance to explore the characters of collective trauma that is a day of Duty, except for post-series stuff. The Hex Squad are definitely more mentally durable than we thought, but the trauma should still be there, waiting to reawaken. I'm headcanoning that Camila took her kids to therapy, or she gave them therapy herself, hence why they seem to have recovered for the most part. Speaking of Belos, there's how he'll be dealt with. Number 9. What will be Belos' ultimate fate? It's clear that Belos has to die, not only to pay for all of his sins, everything from crimes as personal danger as the murder of his brother, but his large-scale atrocities in the modern day include the Day of Unity, because he's too dangerous to be kept alive. Fuck, whenever I hear day and unity in the same sentence, I shudder a bit. Guess I'm just as traumatized as the witches. We do know that his regeneration is limited. After the collector splatted him, he didn't immediately regenerate. It took months for him to regenerate, in fact, and he lied low for a bit, and as the plasmids in the human realm are under tight supervision, and he's in a weakened state where even one person could put him in a jar and he'd be at his enemy's mercy. What does he do? He possesses Hunter, but even then, Hunter is able to fight back, forcing Belos out, but instead of fighting, Belos flees. Why? Because his regeneration, while complete, was rushed on a shoestring budget, but he manages to possess Rain, not only because Rain being a puppet means that they're preserved, so he won't rot them, but also puts him at a tactical advantage. Rain's bar magic can be used to control the puppets. In theory, and being under the collector's control means that they have 2 layers of control to fight against instead of just one, and Rain is Ida's lover, and Luz knows that means that Belos' opponents are reluctant to hurt/kill Rain, even if it means ending the madness. With whom kills Belos is what I'd like to call an Orochi situation. The Orochi situation is named after One Piece villain Orochi, who had committed so many evil acts that there are arguments over who gets to kill him, because of how many good choices there were. With Belos, he's basically hurt everybody in one way or another, so no matter who kills him, it will be satisfying. For how his death scene plays out, I could see that Belos and Luz are fighting on the crumbling platform, and Stringbean is busy rushing the others to safety. Luz begins to fall, and she plays a plasmid flute, hoping to call the Batqueen, who has a debt to pay to Ida. While the Batqueen catches Luz, Belos begins to pulsate and distort, before green embers burst from his skin. Belos then disintegrates into green energy as the plasmid souls break free from his body, and he crumbles into dust. Luz reacts by saying, "In my defense, I did not see that happening." Or another way that Belos could be finished is that the fight strains him out so much that the plasmid starvation takes its toll and he crumbles into dust. Whatever happens, I don't want any member of a Hex Squad to kill him, as he caused deliberately, as he caused those kids enough trauma. Not even Hunter, who he hurt more than anybody else. A third idea is of how Belos spies it is that it looks like Luz is about to finish him off with an energy blast from Stringbean, but Camila tells her, "Don't. He's caused you kids enough pain already." Luz then prevents the blast from firing. Belos shifts back into his human form and tries to convince Camila, "I'm on the side of humanity. Your daughter has been tempted by sorcery, just like my brother. Join me and we can save her heart from evil." However, Camila isn't listening. She cannot even recognize Belos as a human. Camila starts beating Belos to death with her bare hands. Let him know why she sent him to hell personally. In between blows, she shouts, "This is for Luz. This is for Amity. This is for Willow. This is for Gus. This is for V. This is for Hunter. This is for Flapjack. This is for the Boiling Owls. And this is so I feel better." Ida smirks. "I like her." She was impressed by Camila's display of months' worth of pent-up rage and hate, all coming out in a screaming fury. Camila killing Belos would be perfect irony, as if a witch killed him, he'd probably laugh, having been proven that they really are monsters, but a human, that's a rejection, that's insult to injury. He won't be hailed a hero by his kind, but he'll be forgotten at best, reviled for centuries at worst. And when one of the kindest and most morally upstanding characters of the series murders you out of revenge, you know you fucked up. Anyways, we should talk about our next theory, on who was in the in-between realm. Number 8. Who did Luz see in the in-between realm? When Luz went through the portal at the end of Thanks to Them and at the beginning of For the Future, unlike the others, she ended up in the in-between realm. There's a figure of Wave Adapter who looks to be a Titan. My theory is that it's a Boiling Isles Titan trying to contact Luz directly. Titans can access the in-between realm through their dreams, and it's possible that it's where the spirits of dead Titans go. As for why Luz can access the in-between realm, I believe that it's because the Titan sensed her spirit the first time she entered the demon realm and sensed that she was worthy. Thus, he's been giving her the glyphs. And likewise, when Philip first entered the demon realm, he was sensed to be unworthy, and the Titan withheld the glyph from him. However, that only delayed his rise to power. And as Luz is worthy, she could access the in-between realm, and I'm sure that this will culminate in a conversation between her and the Titan. Next, there's a question on how the Collector will be defeated. Number 7. How will the Collector be defeated? With how the Collector will be defeated, I don't think he'll be killed or re-imprisoned. Unlike Belos, he's not actively malicious. I'm sure that he'll be redeemed through his friendship with King. I'm thinking that he'll try to kill Luz, and Luz will tell him people can have more than one friend. I can be friends with King, and you could be friends with King at the same time. This will make the Collector realize that King's friendship with Luz is more important to him than his friendship with King in King's eyes. Next, there's how Caleb is connected to the Clawthorns. Number 6. How is Caleb connected to the Clawthorns? By Hollow Mind, it was basically an open secret that the Clawthorns have human ancestry, specifically by being direct descendants of Caleb Wittebane. Every episode after that had dropped at least a hint or two that they are related. It is the last chance the crew has to confirm that Caleb and Evelyn's descendants include the likes of Eden, Lilith, Clawthorn. I'm thinking that Eden and Belos will face off one-on-one as it's been hyped up since the start. Belos is an incredibly powerful ruler of the Boiling Isles, the last of the great witch hunters, and the most effective of them all. And Eden is a self-proclaimed most powerful witch on the Boiling Isles, and she clearly lives up to that title. In fact, if Lilith never cursed Eda probably would have single-handedly stormed the Emperor's palace and fought him, and it's possible she could have ended up defeating him. And Eda hates Belos too much to knowingly cooperate with him, so he always goes for the next best thing, first by getting her sister Lilith, the second most powerful witch, as his second in command, and after Lilith defected, he appointed Rain Whispers as the head of a Bard Coven, hoping to leverage Eda's loved ones against her. I'm thinking that Belos possessing Rain will taunt Eda by revealing, "You Clawthorns always put your loved ones above everything else, unlike that witch Evelyn Clawthorn, who turned my brother against me." The Hex Squad overhears Gus remarks, "To be fair, I knew that since the day of Unity." Luz then thinks for a bit and states, "To be honest, that was pretty obvious in hindsight. Amity jokes, and I thought my family was dysfunctional." King cringes. How many family reunions that end with murder do I have to go through? I'm sure what actually happened is that Philip thought Caleb was bewitched into loving Evelyn and not knowing that his love was genuine. Philip's big flaw is that he can't separate reality from nostalgic impressions of a past. He keeps creating Grimwalkers, hoping that the idea of Caleb is who Caleb really is, instead of loving his brother as a man. He clings on to those nostalgic impressions of his big brother the witch hunt because they're all he had left. Even when he was at the top of the world, even when everything was going just as planned and it took little divine intervention to save the Boiling Isles, all he had left was the idea of Caleb and his rose-tinted impressions of a witch hunt he grew up on. And in the memory portrait of Philip's duel with Caleb, he was looking away from Caleb, so it's possible that he was going after Evelyn, but Caleb jumped in to push her over away and ended up getting stabbed in her place. And now it's time for the question of if Rain will be okay. Number 5. Will Rain be okay? Ever since they first appeared in Eda's Requiem, Rain Whispers had become a fan favorite due to being the sweet, shy, soft-spoken Bard Coven head working to subtly undermine the Emperor's authority, and Eda's love interest, who dated her in high school but she called off the relationship out of fear that they'll judge her for her curse. Despite that, Eda never stopped loving Rain, and Rain never stopped loving Eda. Now Belos is possessing them. If Belos remains in Rain for too long, Rain will decay away, but Rain having been turned into a puppet will slow that down. Even then, while Hunter is free from Belos' possession, he still needs Flapjack to sacrifice himself to heal. It got new scars from Belos running him away. I'm thinking that either someone will have to sacrifice their palisman, or perhaps King will be able to heal Rain, or the damage done to Rain will not require magical intervention. It could be possible that Titan's blood can heal Rain, as the palismans were able to power portal would only work for a second is thanks to them, and palismans are made from palstrom wood, and palstrom woods require soil with a high concentration of Titan's blood to grow. As palismans are a weaker derivative of Titan's blood, it's possible that Titan's blood has healing properties. As for depuppeting everybody, it could require the collector letting them go, as he did with Lilith, or Titan powers. Titan magic neutralized collector magic, which meant that the Titan Collector War resulted in the near extinction of both races. As for proof, the Owl Beast was collected by a collector who is not our collector, turned into a scroll used to curse Ida. The elixir was used to keep a curse at bay, which the Clawthorn sisters have figured out how to make. It was made from ingredients found in the boiling oils, and the Titan is the source of all magic, so it's possible that the elixir works by concentrating derivative Titan magic enough to briefly keep a curse at bay. Speaking of boiling oils, this is what the societal changes in the both spells the era would look like. Number 4. How the boiling oils as a whole change. First, there's again the truth out. First, there's the truth that the Savage Ages were a peaceful time which Luz and Lilith discovered by time traveling. As Lilith is a historian, it's possible that she will begin teaching the masses the true history of the boiling oils. And there's also Belos being Philip Wittebane. That latter truth will be risky, as humans aren't exactly popular on the Owls, and known that the single most hated being in its history was a human could have disastrous results. For that to be revealed without the witches seeking to wipe out the humans, or at the very least kill any human who dares set foot on the boiling oils, something will have to happen to redeem humanity in the eyes of witches. I'm thinking that Luz will be seen very publicly fighting Belos. Perhaps she gets injured, even killed protecting the witch. I'm sure that if they do kill Luz, they will not make it permanent. Also, there's dealing with a coven system. The coven system will either be abolished entirely or reformed into a system that allows like-minded witches to share magical knowledge without forcing people to join any covens. As for the coven brands, I'm thinking that they will begin removing them without removing people's arms, but they won't force the witches to get their brands removed. After all, Lilith apparently discovered a way to remove a brand without removing the limits on. And then there's dealing with a known collaborators of the Emperor's reign. I'm sure that the Coven heads, Kikibora and Odaila, will be put on trial, and Ray Dares and Evelyn will put themselves on trial. However, the good Coven heads, who tried to stop the DeviantArt, will probably be exonerated for a valiant attempt at saving the Isles. As for Kiki, while she did lead King to the Collector, which ended up saving everybody, she's seeking to build her power base, and did lead King to the Collector to spite Belos, not because of any moral obligation. She's probably gonna get a lighter sentence but get locked up anyways. There's also who will lead, as we will want someone who's fit for the job and to have their heart in the right place. My top 3 candidates are Rain, Camila, and Ida. For Rain, they're a good leader, they care about the people of the Isles, and they have fought against Belos. However, Rain has stage fright, so a job like that might be a bit too stressful for them. For why Camila is a great leader, her job as a vet means that she's used to being forced to make tough decisions, and she took in 6 kids from another dimension, including her own biological daughter, who was there for a few months, without asking any questions, and tended to their needs without complaining. She's kind and empathetic, and will definitely dedicate herself to making the Owls go from a society of victims to a society of survivors. However, a human might not be that popular, especially since she's not a public face prior, but Camila's good deeds might result in her legacy being humanity being redeemed in Witchkind's eyes. As for Ida, she stands against everything Belos stood for, so she's definitely an icon of rebellion, but I don't think Ida will like making rules. That might work in her favor, as she'll want to dissolve the institution and get over with it. Anyways, that entertains our bronze medal question, where Luz will decide to stay once everything wraps up. Number 3, where will Luz stay? For where I think Luz will stay, her self-confidence is being quickly rebuilt, so it's possible that she stays in the demon realm. However, it's possible that she might move back in with Camila or stay in the old Wittebane residence due to its both locations' proximity to a new portal door and her loving mother. However, I think she will decide to live in the TheOwlHouse. I'm thinking that it will go like this. The Hex Squad are reclaiming the TheOwlHouse after Belos' death, while Luz works on a new portal door. Angie decides to help her and asks, "What were you going to tell me in the classroom?" Luz replies, "I was going to tell you that once I do Ida King were safe, once Belos the Collector have been defeated, that I'll return to the human realm for good. However, I had a talk with mom and realized that here I have people who understand me, which is why string being hatched. Amity becomes worried. She asks, Luz, why are you making a portal door? Are you going to leave us all behind? Luz answers, no, you're welcome to come wherever I go. I'm moving into the Owl House, so I'm going to go back to Gracefield and get all our stuff. The new portal door will run by King running on a hamster wheel. Camila then tells Amity, I'm moving to the demon realm. This place is full of people like you, victims of Belos, and I want to help them all. Also, I regret moving to Gracefield. Once the portal door is ready, the Hex Squad works on moving Camila's stuff from Gracefield to the Boiling Isles, where she wants to live in the Owl House. V and Masha return home for their date, and Camila tells V, I'm going to move to the Demon Realm. It's full of people like you and the others, but I will make sure to visit Manny once a year. You can come along if you would like. V replies, no, I don't feel safe here. This is my home. Camila replies, Belos is gone, the Boiling Isles are at peace. This means you can feel free to visit us at the Boiling Isles whenever you want. Just give us a heads up, and we will try to visit you at least once or twice a month. While V keeps Camila's home and some things that Camila set aside for V, the Nocedas move to the Owl House and Abdi moves in with him. They'll visit V every now and then, with V eventually worked up the courage to visit the Boiling Isles. And they'll make sure to visit Batty's grave once a year on the anniversary of his death without fail, and possibly a bit more than that. And speaking of the dead, our silver medal question is who will die? Other than Belos, of course. Number 2, who will die? Who ends up dying? Well, there's Belos, but I'm sure that Luz will get a death scene or a fake out, or it's revealed that she's alive and how she survived. Here's how I see a fake out death for Luz coming. The final battle happens and the Collector's Palace is destabilized. Luz stays behind to make sure everybody gets out safely with Stringbean's help. The palace falls on the Titan's head in a way that looks like he's wearing a crown. There's a funeral for Luz, but Amity's conspicuously absent. Then we hear Amity tell everyone, guys, Luz lived. Here's proof. The group turns around and sees Amity carrying Luz, who is in a full body cast similar to Edric was in For the Future, and enough time has passed for Edric to be out of his, and Camila asks, so, how did Luz survive? Amity replies, Stringbean and I had to dig her out of rubble, and we were too busy taking care of her to remember to let you know that she was alive. Camila then chews out Amity for not letting her know that her daughter lived. Yes, I took that from Bound Tendency, where it revealed how Joseph Joestar survived his encounter with Only Cars, competing with Susie Q, forget to inform everyone that Joseph lived. A time skip revealed that while Luz was able to make a full recovery over the next few months, she still has some scars from the whole have the castle collapse onto you ordeal. Another way I can see a Luz death scene played out is that Belos and Ida fight, and while the fight is close, Belos has Ida dead to rights. He prepares to kill Ida, with Ida telling him bring it on. Remaining defiant till the bitter end, there's a stab, and we see that Luz had used the glyph to push Ida out of the way, but she got stabbed in her place. Luz vomits blood, and Belos, his regeneration almost completely exhausted to have been brought to death's door by the fight, hallucinates Luz as Caleb and Ida as Evelyn. Belos throws Luz aside, but Ida's now enraged, and she uses a glyph to blast him to ashes, or Stringbean lasers Belos to death, or Camila uses a nice bomb to freeze and shatter Belos, or someone else kills him. The group works together to keep Luz alive and allow her to make a full recovery, or she dies of blood loss and internal organ damage, but the Titan uses power to resurrect her. Okay, the whole Luz dies, but the Titan resurrects her element is taken from Amphibious Finale, where Ad dies from using Calamity Gems to stop the core from destroying Amphibia, but is revived by the local deity, or cloned. It's a ship of Zeez's sink, and it's pretty ambiguous. I'm sure that if they kill Luz off, it will either be temporary or her survival in this method will be revealed. Anyways, it's time for our gold medal pick, the final question of this video. Number 1, will Luz and Amity remain a couple? Last but not least, I hope that it's yes, because if Luz Noceda and Amity break up, we write, not because there's such a healthy relationship with an amazing dynamic, but it's because of a groundbreaking representation. Not many kids shows have a primary couple be same sex, and there should be more LGBTQ plus representation in shows for children. If they aren't a couple but at the end, my heart will break. It's most likely that they'll stay together, and I would like an epilogue that shows how the relationship has evolved in the post-series. Perhaps the final scene of the series takes place years later, and it shows Luz and Abdi get married, with a final shot of the series being them kissing at the altar or flying off into the sunset, with a credit of the final episode showing scenes that we did see in between the start of the episode and the distant epilogue. And the very last image of the series is the birth of Luz and Abdi's unborn daughter. Perhaps they promise to dress up and travel the world together. It's clear that the crew is going all out with LGBTQ plus representation in season 3, seeing that the corporate side of Disney decided to cut the run of their best show short. With how which reproduction works in this series, with same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples both being able to birth viable offspring, and the human which conceived the child who was heavily implied to have grown up and started a bloodline that extends all the way down into the present day, it's 100% possible that Luz and Abdi will be able to conceive biological children, and I'm sure that the fans will go to town with the implications that Luz and Abdi had sex, like how we already went to town with the implications that Caleb and Evelyn had sex. Another possible scene that could end the series is showing a green-haired girl with a striking resemblance to Luz doing a book report for a teacher on Cosmic Frontier, proving that it's become popular on the Boiling Isles, just like how Good Witch Azura did. And her teacher is a now grown-up Gus Porter who is teaching human studies at Tech Site. It gives a girl whose name is Azura Noceda an A+. Azura leaves the school, and her mothers, Luz and Abdi Noceda, arrive on String Bean, picking up Azura to take her to visit her Aunt V and Masha at the human realm. Or they could bookend the entire timeline with Luz pregnant with Abdi's child, and Luz talking about how she once believed that humans bring witches nothing but grief, but she's brought so much good to everybody she met, and that she's proud to start a bloodline of a witch, like what Caleb did centuries ago. Luz is thinking of naming her unborn daughter Azura, and that she'll grow up both as a human and as a witch, the first child in history to ever grow up that way. And those are the 10 questions the finale of the Owl House needs to answer. My possible answers to them. What do you think? Are those answers I gave you brilliant or bogus? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share for more content. Every view means so much to me, and every subscription new person introduced to my content means so much more to me. Tyson out.